I think college admissions relies on you being able to stand out and have a really cohesive idea of self, right? And a cohesive narrative around who you are and what you're interested in. And that is like the worst advice possible, like really what it is you need to stand out somehow. And you do that by like having really specific interests or ideas or activities or just like anything that's specific. And I think one of the beauties of homeschooling that we've, talked about in a bunch of our answers is that like you can go really deep into what you're interested in for a variety of reasons, right? And so I think being able to really lean into that in your application is super, super helpful and really, really important. And so I'd say that's my biggest piece of advice. And then I think the other piece of advice is having one or two clear signifiers though that your homeschool was like structured and had some rigor too though. Like I spend all day talking to admissions officers about how they evaluate homeschoolers, right? And a really common thing is they're like, we love homeschoolers and we love that they're doing really interesting creative things, but we also have no idea if they actually got any real education at all, right? And so being able to like it, I'm not a huge fan of standardized tests. I think none of us are. We mentioned that a couple times, but those things do come into play. So having one or two like community college classes or the ACT or the SAT or an AP, you don't need a ton, but just a couple of those kind of clear signifiers. Same thing with like letters of rec. If you can have one or two where it's like, here's someone who isn't my mom, who is like my intern boss, right? Or my soccer coach or these things, those go a long way as well. So I think you don't need to be well-rounded, but I do think you need a couple of clear signifiers where they can compare you to others as well. Long answer to a short question. But yeah, I think if I were to boil everything down, those are the big things.
Great. So lean into the fact that you're homeschooled and really make sure it sounds like to clarify what your homeschooling experience was like, because it sounds like there's a lot of different types of homeschooling. So breaking down a little bit of those preconceived notions that the readers might have in there and some kind of standardized test, no matter how much we may not like it, because it doesn't foster our love of learning.